mean, like, do you really think they got it that right with that extra few hours? Because I still felt like there was something missing. There he is, the third head, by the way.
I missed most of that. There he is.
Don't worry about it. It's just Justice League.
Snyder Cut. He wants you to blow.
What's up?
You guys handle
What's going on?
50 people.
You guys do the thing. Yeah.
What's up? I am very excited to have all three heads of Cerberus on tonight. How's everybody doing? Mr. Harrison, how are you?
I'm great. Now, why can we not see y'all? We're all here.
We are.
They hide.
Because I'm not combing my hair for this.
Here, do you want
the elder gods of H.P. Lovecraft to look upon us would be to shred your sanity.
Here, I'll be personable. Here, there's me. Hi, boys. How are you tonight?
Hey, Regina.
I don't look anything like Regina. Nice to meet you, fellas. I'm really excited to have you guys on tonight for reasons that I think PC3 is obviously aware of. But mostly I'm really excited to listen to you guys talk about splatter westerns. I'm excited to hear what's going on with Death's Head Press. I'm really excited also, PC3, you are now on Godless as well, right?
I am, yeah. Just recently.
That's really exciting. Very exciting. Did you enjoy your featured week there the other week? Did you feel like it was a good experience? Drew Steppick works really hard, huh?
Yeah, he did a good job. I was traveling most of that week, so I didn't get to really see a lot of it. But from what I saw, yeah, he has a good site. Really seems to do a lot for authors. So yeah, I like it.
Yeah, that's good. I'm glad. I feel like, I've been really impressed. I wasn't really personally sure what to expect, but I think he's really knocked it out. And let's see. So then we've got Mr. Miller here, author of Dust, which is the Eldritch horror splatter western, and pretty high up on my reading list. Anybody here read Dust yet, or any of Chris Miller's books? I think we've had him on the show before, right?
I have read, and I always get this wrong, Chris. Is it The Long Goodbye or The Hard
I couldn't hear anything. I did hear. I heard Dust at one point, but I lost. I could not hear any of the others.
I don't know what we're missing with his connection, or maybe it's something with mine. I do know that
it's usually him.
I have read either The Long Goodbye or The Hard Goodbye, and I always get the two mixed up.
Hard Goodbye.
The Hard Goodbye.
The Hard Goodbye. I read it, and it was a seriously hardcore exercise in hard-boiled, like drugstore cowboy type action crime excitement, and I really think you delivered every character to their best fate. Is that good? Did he get that? Did they get it wrong?
Didn't.
Okay.
I heard some of it, and thank you. I'm trying to keep up as best I can. It sort of sounds like an Atari on Pong.
This is a Winsboro, Texas problem. He has it quite.
They have one windmill that generates the.
I'm not convinced that's it, but I don't know what to change. Hold on.
It's okay. Yeah. How do we help him? If it is him and not me, am I doing something wrong?
I'm here.
You sound good to me.
Okay. I've got it on echo cancellation. So everything's coming in for Patrick and Mike.
Yeah, I'm getting everything.
Yeah.
Okay.
Everything's fine.
Okay. So 2 of 3 heads are working, and that's status quo. So we'll proceed. But yeah, I have read. It is The Hard Goodbye. It is the Hard Goodbye.
Yep.
Fucking badass shit, and it reminded me a lot of that old movie, Brandon Dillon movie, Drugstore Cowboy, where people, get into shit that they really probably shouldn't be up to, but they happen to be good at, and so it creates frustrations for their lives, but tells a really awesome story, and I've still been working my way through the horror series that is 2 books so far with the. And my mind's gone tonight, because I've been doing some things I shouldn't. But
Jesus, Jeremy.
What, that made him go? No, anyway.
Just had enough of you, Jeremy.
I knew. Yeah, well, okay. We still got 2 out of 3. So, what was I talking about again?
You read.
I'm sorry. My dad's back in the hospital, so I'm trying to. There he is.
Well, I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah. We're here for you, Jeremy, and we are glad that you're here tonight.
Well, normally
Welcome
I'm able to
back.
pull it together.
Can y'all
better
hear
than
me?
this, but yeah.
Yes.
We can hear you. Can you hear us?
Got you, Chris.
What
I'm
cigar are
trying to
you
get closer to my router.
Patrick, what cigar are you smoking? South Candini wants to
question.
know.
Yeah, I see that. I got a Drew Estate Undercrown. What I'm smoking right now.
Is that
Very
like some major G League stuff or what?
Yeah, I mean it's one of the cheaper Drew Estate ones. I ordered like 25 of this.
It ain't some like Cuban like bootlegs or something.
No, I usually bring home Cubans when I fly through Paris. But they were like out of Cuban this past week. I don't have any
Right.
this time.
Probably smuggle them through the phone lines now, right? Am I right? No, I'm joking. No, okay, so how is everybody? I'm trying. I admit that I came to Chris Miller in this as an invitation to come back on, and he started making me aware of this Cerberus thing. So, are you guys
Is
proceeding
this
with?
any better?
Well, I hear you fine. Man.
Yeah, we hear you. We see you. It's great.
So, well, I mean, what is
I'm
this,
hearing you guys just a little better. I had to
Okay,
come
good.
downstairs, so now I
this
can't
Cerberus
scream.
thing? This Cerberus thing. What is this? Is this a publishing like brand thing that you're proceeding with? Are you going to do like a 3-person, anthology or what?
Go,
It's
Chris.
3
You
brothers
tell this
that love
story.
to write.
On the same book or 3 separate visions in one volume?
The 3 separate visions. We always maintain our identities, but we're so much better together.
Okay, how long have you guys known each other? Because I know Patrick runs Death's Head Press, and that he's been all about the splatterpunk thing, right? Right, Patrick?
Well, I like all horror in general. We just kind of have made our names for ourselves with Death's Head Press and the splatterpunk community, just basically through the Splatterpunk Awards. But no, I mean I'm into all horror in all its different realms. But
I can hear.
Okay,
Yay.
okay,
that's
we
good,
got
right?
Chris.
Yeah.
Okay.
I had to
Chris,
switch frequencies.
Jeremy, Chris always does a wonderful job telling how we all came together. So Chris, go for it.
What are you talking about? The circle jerk or the Cerberus?
I want to hear about the circle jerk.
All right. Well, I'm going to talk about Cerberus. Mike will tell you about the circle jerk.
That comes later.
Yeah. So we all met at the Roundabout in Rockwall just to have a beer and hang out. And Mike and I have been talking about, trying to work together, do something together. And we both wanted to include Patrick in that. And Mike came up with the idea of each of us come up with a theme, each of us write a poem for that theme, and then each of us have to write a story to match that theme.
So why are we having dinner?
And so Patrick's sitting there, and he's got his scowl and his cigar and his whiskey sitting there. He's very unapproachable as always. And so anyway, we had to get a few in us, but we finally picked our nards up and said, hey, we want you to join us on this little thing. And he was all into it. And next thing you know, we take a picture, or we had the waitress take a picture of us that night. And our good friend Brad Tierney wrote under there, he said Cerberus. And that was the moment. That's when it happened.
Beautiful. That's like one of those stories that's going to be on a documentary in 20 years, man. It's great. I love it.
Yeah, and all you got to do is change a couple of characters. It could be on Hallmark.
Yeah.
But that doesn't often happen, that you guys come together as one cohesive thing, and like it seems like this could be a brand name or something like Cerberus, 3 heads, 1 dog,
That's the game
what we're
plan.
going
World
for.
domination.
I mean, that
we're
really
trying-
seems like
we're
it could
trying
be
to
a
turn it into
repeat.
something.
It could be a repeat thing,
Yeah.
And you say it's through a new press though. That's what gets me here. So what's the deal with that? I mean, it's not Death's Head Press. It's not the I mean,
Patrick didn't feel we were up to Death's Head Press standards, so he decided to put us on Patrick C. Harrison III's standards and self-publish.
We're just self-publishing the Cerberus.
Yeah.
Cool.
I'm just being a prick. I'm kidding.
That's okay.
That's
We all
okay.
do that here.
We're all prigs here. Just
That's the primary pastime of Quiet Place.
ask any history standards. Go ahead.
Well, I didn't want Cerberus being associated with Death's Head Press just because I didn't want our authors thinking I was taking priority with my own writing over their work with Death's Head Press. So it only seemed appropriate for us to go a different route with publishing the Cerberus book.
Yeah, that's probably a lot more professional answer.
Well, I mean, look where you are, man. Look where you are, and I'm less professional than I usually am. So I appreciate that you're here at all. But Chris, I just know that you have a pedigree for finding good endings for strong characters based on The Hard Goodbye and the first volume.
The Damned Place?
The Damned Place, yes.
Yes.
You just have a good ability for finding strong, fates for good characters.
Thank
you. So, I mean, who has the most teeth in this presentation here? I mean, is it Patrick being the publishing, strong arm? Is it Chris, who, as far as I know, has published more or has written more, or Mike, you're kind of the enigma here, and I apologize for that because you may have more than both of them, published, but I don't know. What can you tell me?
He actually does more than me now.
Is that right?
Well, if you're talking about solo works.
Yeah.
I know I'm going to look back at this tomorrow morning and be embarrassed, and I'm sorry, guys.
No.
But
I'm kind of the odd man out of this group. I'm more of a poet than anything else. These guys are known for their fiction, and I mostly just do scribbles.
Yeah, I wanted to talk to you about your poetry, actually, Mike, because I love your poetry, and I think you've got really good taste in poetry that you share on, Facebook when Kuckerberg will let you out of jail. I just wanted to really kind of talk to you about your poetry because we have talked about poetry on Quiet Place in the past, and Jeremy is not really good with poetry, and it's just not. It hasn't been popular with the boys here. So whenever we get a poet on the show, I really like to talk to them because I think I feel like good poets write really strong prose, and I feel like it's a great discipline. And so you write a poem like every day, right, Mike?
Oh God, 3 to 7.
Yeah, I figured. You're always posting stuff, and it's always great, man. Do you write it by hand, longhand, or do you type everything out first?
Oh, everything's on the phone. I've got a typewriter that I play with, but that's mostly if people buy like one of my collections. I'll type up a new one and put it in the book for them.
That's cool. That's very cool. That's really fun. And then do you read poetry every day? Do you just read every day, period? What's like your reading intake like? And what are you reading now?
I read Sylvia just about every day.
Cool.
I was going to say, that's your shirt, right? Sylvia Plath on your shirt?
Yes, it
Hell
is.
yeah.
That's a good
show. Yeah, I love her to death. Right now I'm reading Too Long a Solitude by Hrabel. He's I don't even know, a Yugoslavian maybe writer. My God, it's one of the funniest things I've ever read.
Interesting. Okay. Well, I'll add this to my Goodreads right now. The Goodreads list just grows every time I'm on the show. And what is it again?
Too Long a Solitude? Maybe Too Loud a Solitude. I don't have my Kindle in front of me. I'm sorry.
No, that's okay.
He's always going Eastern European. I'm not sure what to make of that.
Always.
He's a commie bastard. Get him.
Kind of. You know what? If you suffer, there's nobody that can write pain, and there's nobody that can make you laugh like somebody whose life has no joy.
He's so right.
Yeah.
And there's nobody who has less joy than an Eastern European.
I don't know that communism is worth all that, but make the best of the situation you're in for sure.
Right?
Oh, what? You don't think art is worth growing up in empty grocery stores and people
No,
being
but
sent to gulags?
art can be drawn from anything. It doesn't
What
have
are
to
you
come
fucking talking
from.
about?
It doesn't have to come from the very bottom of the
Hey.
barrel.
Starvation and tuberculosis create great art. You can't deny it.
It really
right.
does.
I'm not
Syphilis
saying.
is a
I'm not
wonderful thing.
saying. I'm
Many an
not
opera
saying it
box.
doesn't. I'm not saying it doesn't. I'm just saying healthy people that had normal lifestyles can also be artistic.
Can
and,
they?
I kind of missed the boat on that. Yeah, especially this
Yeah.
year.
I know.
But
This is the wrong group.
I don't have any of those qualities, so I'm not talking about myself.
Yeah, this is all
Honestly, guys,
hypothetical.
I know
The
I know,
only way that I
right?
can think that's true is Minor Threat because they didn't do drugs and they were brilliant, and that's about it.
That's yeah.
What do you think
I'm
it
thinking
takes?
and I'm struggling.
What does it take then? Does it take a drive to succeed? Because that doesn't always land you in the door either. Because some of the best people with the best drive to succeed can still bullshit, better than they can actually deliver. So I don't know.
Yeah,
I think it
and
varies.
you can have all the drive in the world, all the talent in the world, all the willingness to learn in the world, and do everything right by the book, and still get absolutely nowhere. I mean, I think ultimately it comes down to the right person at the right time read your book and recommended it to the right person, and so on and so forth, and it became a thing, and it grew from there.
I think that's
I think
the absolute,
networking is very valuable. Yeah.
and that's why it's wrong. Because I think the goal should not be, the goal should be to outdo yourself every time you write something new. It should be
Yes.
to top
Thank you.
yourself.
Absolutely.
It doesn't matter who buys it or anything. At the end of the day, as long as what you put out is yours, that's what art is.
I don't think that what I said is mutually exclusive from that. I believe both things equally.
Mhm, mhm.
Absolutely strive to be better than what you were the last time. Doesn't mean you're ever going to get anywhere, or you may. It all comes down to fate.
It's the legacy
Luck.
you leave behind.
Well,
Yeah,
you
but
can
it's
still,
certainly not going to happen if you don't put in the effort, you don't put in the time, and you don't develop the skills. So you got to have all that too.
Well, I mean, you guys have probably, between the three of you, told some really great stories that you may not have, seen in any sort of lucrative result from, but you probably still, remember where you were when you wrote it, and it's probably had some sort of meaning to you personally. So, I mean, that means something at the end of the day too, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
Well,
if
it's
you
like
can look at yourself in the mirror every day and say, I told that story and it meant something to somebody, I don't know who, but right.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, you know what? On The Damned Ones, the sequel to The Damned Place, it won a very small time award. First place, he did first place, second place, third place. It's just a guy who runs a blog. But he took the time to send me a very specialized plaque, very nice plaque, and said, I got it sitting up in my office, and that was like that was a big deal,
Yeah, that's
Somebody
really cool.
somewhere thought this was the best book they read that whole year, and this, that means something. Absolutely. It's not about getting awards, but when you break it down like that, that's humbling.
He brings that up at least once a day.
Oh yeah, no, at least twice.
About the award.
At least
We
twice.
hear about it
One time I gave a homeless guy a copy of my poetry book, and first he wiped his ass with pages and then he started a fire with it. So he really helped himself quite a bit. I didn't get a plaque, but fuck. Not all of us are Chris fucking Miller either.
And thank God there's only one of you. Yeah, because the part he's not telling you is all that shit that he had wiped was flammable, and then we started the fire, it caught on to him, and the guy burned to death. So the guy is literally dead because of Mike's poetry.
Who has
Quite
the most
literally? What?
Go ahead.
No, I'm just saying that's the difference between me telling a story and Chris telling a story. His goes on 7,000 or 8,000 words longer.
Well,
Yeah, and
I was
innocent
gonna say,
people are
Chris
still
had
alive
given-
at the
Chris
end.
had given the guy-
I want to know.
The homeless
The
guy
Quiet
book,
Place
he'd still
roast.
have paper to wipe his ass with.
I want to know who has generated the most controversy in terms of, I don't know, social media posts, sales, or whatever, in terms of just sheer controversy between Dust, Hunger on the Chisholm Trail, and Savage Breed. I don't know.
Savage
Something
Breed?
told me Savage Breed. I think
Probably
Yeah,
a
it's gotta
Savage
be
Breed,
Savage
but
Breed,
right?
mine's close.
Why
Mine's
is
close.
that? Why did it erupt with Savage Breed to the? I mean, compared to the, I don't get it because
Is
I
it
don't
because of the
either.
priest? Is it just because of the rape? It's like everybody, you can fucking, like I said, I was just saying earlier, every book on Godless is about rape. I mean, it's like, what?
Well, there's really not even a rape scene in the Savage Breed. There's
Yeah, it's
suggestions of
not.
it. It kind of beats around it, but it happens several times, and it really turns some people off. You know.
well, I can understand how rape would turn people off, but I mean, in the
Then why are
framework,
you
But it didn't happen.
Why are you reading something that's called a splatter western
Well, yeah.
that is categorized in the extreme horror section? Stop reading that.
That review and
I
the
think we
made-up
should
rape
expect-
in Savage Breed is the reason River Dixon left Facebook. And
Yes.
Wait, River Dixon left Facebook? Where have I been? What?
Oh, this was
he's
months
been
ago.
gone forever. Ever since that review, because he went ballistic. He was pissed about it.
Mm-hmm.
The guy
Yeah.
who wrote about a smell of cedar and the girl being like forced, like locked in a box for like days at a time by her
Yeah.
grandmother. He wrote a review that was more like harmful than that. I mean, what? I mean,
No, he was upset.
No.
He was upset because of this whole Nightworms trashing Savage Breed thing that happened. He was really offended, and
yeah, what
I
is the
understand.
deal with these Nightworms? Are you still doing any kind of like social media, like courting with them, Patrick? If you are, that's fine. I'm just wondering, what is the deal?
Yeah, they work with us. I don't, I stayed out of that whole mess with their review. What I suspect happened is that someone amongst them was offended by what I wrote, which is fine. Everybody's entitled to their opinion, but they all kind of got on board with posting the same review, and it was very odd that it happened.
Now, wait. When you say they posted the same review, it was the same one. I got a free copy of this, and thank you to Death Said Press for providing it or something. And then they would proceed to trash it.
One star. Yeah.
I saw that over and over, and I didn't understand it. I mean, you're showing goodwill, giving them free copies of this stuff that they're supposed to be into because it's niche and it's cult.
That part of it I find legitimate. We can't offer them a book and then demand, hey, you have to like this and you have to give it a glowing review.
Yeah, I want.
You can't do that.
It's just the implication.
But
The implication.
so that's not the problem for me. It's implications like within mine, and like it said, there was rape in Patrick's book. No, there's not. Not if you read it. It may write around it a few times, but it's not like constant rape. That's nonsense. In mine, they went after Denarius as being written very stereotypically. I did that deliberately because I was writing a pulpy splatter Western novel. And that's exactly what I was trying to do.
Wait. Did you just say it's pronounced Denarius?
Denarius,
I was pronouncing the name wrong the whole time. I was thinking Denarius the whole time I read the book.
Yeah, like everybody else on the planet that knows how that word is pronounced.
Well, I always heard it called a denarius growing up in church and reading from scripture. So that was a coin. There's
a denarius
piece of currency.
It's the denarii is the Roman coin.
Right.
The 30 pieces of tainted silver that were paid to Judas.
Yeah. Jesus said, show me a denarius. And they showed you whose form is on this Caesar's. Well, give unto Caesar what is Caesar, unto God what is God's. So that's where I had heard that term. And he is such a good man. He's literally the only truly good guy in the whole book. I kind of wanted to tie him in some small way to the good book.
I'm seeing a lot of 3-star Nightworms releases. I mean, I'm just saying. Even as far back as Dust, which was that book 3 or 5 or something?
It was 3.
Okay. So I'm not my judgment's not totally whacked now. I'm being requested to ban Hey, I'm not going to highlight Edo's bullshit,
Hi,
but there's Autumn saying something worthwhile. All right.
All right, you Autumn, have fun
Hey,
roller
you know,
skating.
I've tried to get her to write short stories for Death's Head Press twice now. She's turned me down.
Really?
What boys?
Well, she was skating. I'm sorry.
Yeah, she was too busy skating.
You got to catch her at the right time, dude.
All right.
Oh man, that would be great if she would
Regina
do that.
looks cute, but I don't. Regina looks cute, but I don't. I understand. I
It's all about the angle.
I wouldn't think that I'm cute right now either with my
Gotta get that lighting.
horrible narcotic withdrawal. I wouldn't think I was cute either. So yeah, it's fine. But man, I really wish that you guys were in front of a better, more competent and more intoxicated interviewer right now.
Jeremy, if I were a braver man, I'd cut this camera on and make you look like
Oh, come on.
in comparison.
I don't know. This thing with Nightworms, it feels like factional. It's like on the one hand they're working with you, Patrick, and I'm not trying to create discord, but on the one hand, and we've spoken about this once or twice, they're working with you on one hand, but then they are going and publishing all these reviews in hordes, you know, like I don't know, like just you know, bad mouthing the work, and I feel like it feels subversive to me, and it doesn't have to feel subversive to you. You know business better than I do, being where you are, and Jared too. You know, but I don't know. I don't remember too many positive reviews from Nightworms people. Maybe in the first few, but now I feel like they're just going to double down on the whole. It's rape, and it's scabies, and it's racism, and I mean it's a time when that stuff, you know, was just a fact of life.
And it's pulp.
Yeah. So
please
it's
remember it's supposed to be pulp, and
so
pulp pushes stereotypes.
So
they say a 1-star review does just as much for you as a 5-star does. So
is that a fact?
That is true.
As long as they're given honest reviews.
Exactly.
That's what I want.
Yeah, a 1-star review that gets.
If all of them thought my book was 1, 2, 3 stars, then okay, that's an honest review. All I'm saying is
I will never
looked suspicious. So I don't know. I'm not going to say one way or
okay. Well, that says you know, integrity on your part. I guess I got a picture in my head someone who's saying, look, everyone's shitting on this, you know, based on my own perceptions of business, and saying we got to do something about this. You know, we got to get more politically correct. So that's not the case.
Look, I will never get tired of pointing out that my best-selling title of all time on Amazon has like a 2.1 overall star rating. I don't think reviews are shit. Like if you're leaving it, I don't care what it is. You know, it can be 1 star, it can be 5-star. You can somehow break the system and add negative stars to it if you want. I don't care.
No, I agree 1,000%. You know, it doesn't matter if the whole world can be trashing it. They're talking about it.
Okay.
Yeah, and somebody that reads a 1-star. One of the things that I do if I'm interested in something, it could be a book, movie, can opener on Amazon. First thing I want to do is I want to see the most negative reviews. And why they're negative. Are they negative because they were shipped and weren't packaged right? Or were they defective? Or, you know, if something like that. Or if they had a legitimate gripe. And in a legitimate gripe, often I can find, like, that sounds like something I would love. And then I may go purchase it because of that 1-star review.
That's true. I have been motivated by some 1-stars reviews. In fact, in case of Savage Breed, Regina, you remember that you pointed me towards that 1-star review, but yeah, I did. It did make me want to post haste, you know, grab that. So yeah, I guess there is something to be said for 1-star reviews, but I don't think that's their design here. I don't know that they have it in for you, Patrick, but I'm just saying if it were me, I would think that.
Well, never mind Nightworms. It's just in a general way, it seems in horror, there is a push for more inclusivity, and that is a good thing. However, I think that sometimes people become zealots in that, in that
On both sides.
everything, yeah, on both sides, but everything has to include all these aspects in a politically correct manner of what's acceptable in 2021 versus like the splatter westerns. What was the norm in the 60s, 70s, 80s, whatever they were set?
And we can only guess because we weren't there. Let's not forget that on top of the pulp thing,
Well, thank God we weren't fucking there. It was a terrible place to live.
Jesus.
Yeah.
You gave birth and the coyotes stole the baby. My God,
Yeah,
man, it's
instead of a
not a
dingo.
good thing. Like, we are
Yeah.
glamorizing it. We're making it sound better than it is. A fucking
Yeah.
Wendigo is better than daily life was.
You know what? I would actually go to a town with a cosmic deity trying to come through.
Yeah, that sounds like it would break it up back then. Huh?
Yeah, I mean, it's hey, I'm going to see some cool colors. Yeah.
So,
Oh, Jesus.
everybody here feels good about moving forward with Death's Head Press, I guess,
Sure.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Hey, they gave me a shot. If it wasn't for Death's Head Press, I'd still be just putting shitty poetry online.
Same thing, man. I signed 2 contracts within 2 weeks. One was for Trespass, which ended up with Dead Man's Tome. And I was getting ready to self-publish The Hard Goodbye, which would have been my second novel. And it's just barely a novel, depending on who you ask, 40,000.
No. It's a masterpiece. I seriously believe that.
Well, thank you. Thank you. And I was getting ready to do that, and then I heard from Patrick and Jared that they wanted to publish it, and I was like, "Oh, awesome!" And not only that, it was their first novel to publish. It came out 2 weeks after their inaugural release, And Hell Followed. So they gave me a huge boost because when they accepted my novel, they asked if I wanted to put a story in that, and I got to be alongside, a few of my heroes. So that was neat.
Nice. How special.
And if you haven't read
so
Trespass, that's actually probably my favorite book of Chris's. Trespass is great. And that's a novella there, I guess. What, like 30,000 words, something like that?
No, it's more like 18,000 words. It's a really, really brief one.
Yeah, I love that one. That one's intense.
Yeah.
Now, do you guys all three feel like you're closer to writing something that distinctly, screams you and what you've experienced in your life as you go on? And I guess 3 separate answers naturally, but starting with Patrick and then Mike and then Chris. Are you closer, Patrick?
So closer to
telling a story that represents your life, like says, hey, this here was me. I experienced this, and this is what I think and feel. Okay, that's what I mean.
Man, that's a hard one to answer. I'm working on several projects right now, but probably the one I keep putting off is the one that I need to focus on, and it's a novel. It's going to be a huge novel, probably 130,000 words, something like that. It'll be my biggest work to date, and it takes place in my hometown. It has a lot of stuff about religion in it. Has a lot of stuff that would happened when I was a child. It basically takes place in the neighborhood I grew up in and the woods back behind it. And I think once I complete that novel, I think it's completely different than anything else I've ever written. Most of the stuff I've published has been more like the splatterpunk type stuff, more the hardcore horror, the bizarro. This is more mainstream horror, but I think thus far, I feel like it's probably the best thing I've written. And for whatever reason, I don't know if it's just because it's so close to me or whatever, I just keep putting off finishing that and focusing on other projects instead. But, I think people talk about writing the one. I think that might be the one if I can ever get it finished. So
that sounds really interesting.
Good answer. Yeah, and there's a lot of stuff that you can pick from your childhood. Mike, what about you?
Well, first off, I want to say I've read the first 30,000 of what Patrick's talking about, and it is brilliant. I guess mine is actually I'm trying to get it published right now. I think I wrote it. It's called Cuckoo.
Cuckoo?
Cuckoo, yeah, like the bird.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, without a doubt, that's his best work. Yeah, but-
Hands down.
That's real personal, huh?
Yeah, I took the idea of it's told from 7 different points of view of different layers of madness, but it's all the same story and they're all the same person telling it.
Oh, I love that.
Great.
Don't rush that. Yeah, that sounds amazing.
No, it
You
is
know,
amazing.
It was very difficult.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a brilliant one, and he's shopping it around right now. But I don't think he's doing it hard enough because he needs to find himself. He needs to
Well, it
find
sounds like
himself
you've got some. Sounds like he's got some territory to figure out. And
you
finally,
influenced-
Chris. Go ahead, Regina.
Oh, I was just wondering, Mike, do you watch a lot of theater or read a lot of plays? That concept kind of reminds me of Sarah Kane. I don't know if you are familiar with her work.
No, I have absolutely no idea.
I think you would really be interested in Sarah Kane. You should check her out. She actually reminds me a lot of Sylvia Plath. She also dealt with like really severe depression and really worked it through in her writing. And her plays are kind of just very dark, very transgressive, and like just very mentally ill. But I feel like this would be just an interesting thing for you to read while you're working on and shopping on this other thing.
Oh, if you don't mind, if you'd shoot me a link on Facebook, that would be great.
Hell yeah, I will. I will send you a link. You'll be interested. You'll like her.
Thank you.
Go on.
Yeah. And finally, Chris, what do you feel like you are closer to reaching that personal, the one, as Patrick put it, the novel that says, hey, this is me. This best represents me?
Mike's going to make fun of me, and Patrick's going to do it too, because this is going to be kind of a 3-part answer. Yes, I knew it. So I wrote a novelette called Farewell that's coming out in my collection this year. And that one was about my grandfather's funeral. And he and I were extraordinarily close. He was my best friend, and I was 8 years old. And it was my first time old enough to understand what death really was, and the finality of it. And I wrote that. So basically, that story is basically just me recording that day's events, changing a few names, and then I did a little twist at the end of it that didn't actually occur. But every single time I sat down to write it, to go back through it, to edit it, and to look it over one last time, I bawled my eyes out every single time, and because it meant so much to me. And so in a way, I have kind of written a super personal story. The Damned Place is there's a lot of my childhood in that. The running around with friends, playing in forts in the woods, older kids that were jackasses and bullied you around and everything. It's obviously that one's, and I've always said this, it's heavily inspired by Stephen King's It and Stranger Things. So there's a lot of that in it, but there's also a lot of what my personal upbringing and things like that. Yeah. Long-winded motherfucker is what Mike just texted me.
we wanted a 30-second answer, guys.
I know you're not going to get one out of me. And then finally, I think my greatest is yet to come. And that is, I think I have, with these other guys, learned how to find not only and refine my style, but also to find my very own voice. And these guys have helped me immensely in that. And in finding that in the stories I'm writing now, I think I'm finally going to achieve that. It's like, that is Chris Miller.
Wow.
Period.
That is fantastic. That is the best thing about collaboration, is that you learn something about yourself on the other end. And that is great when that happens in any kind of medium. Yeah. I'm inspired tonight, seriously.
I know, it's really cool having you guys on, and it's interesting too, because usually collaborations, like Neil actually just released a collaborative novel that he wrote with somebody else, but I feel like collaborations are often just 2 authors. So it's kind of interesting to have a three-way action going on, I guess.
That's what I hear. It's always interesting.
I think what the key is, the three of us are completely different writers. We have completely different styles and we have completely different aspirations. So instead of thinking of it as collaborative, all we're trying to do is make each other better.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and not only that, but learning from each other too. Like I have not so much with our current work in progress, but I have improved with the word conservation overall. I know I'm screwing it up right now in the book we're writing together because I'm definitely going to go over the limit. Well, I'm already over the limit. Anyway, but
this isn't an SAT essay. It's okay.
They have helped me in word conservation and
saying
learning
more with less, right?
Saying more with less, but without losing the style of it.
You can tell by every time he speaks how it's working.
Yeah, I write way better than I talk, I promise.
We know, buddy. We all do.
We've learned to tell him if it's a 10,000 word story, we tell Chris it's flash fiction. We'll get
Yep. 250 words.
Yeah, well, I wrote The Damned Place and The Damned Ones at the same time. It was initially going to be one gigantic novel and in another homage to King that I'm glad I ended up not doing. I was going to go back and forth between childhood and adulthood. And when I finished it, it was 236,000 words. And I realized that when you read just the kids part and then read just the adults part, you had complete novels.
Wow.
So I pulled them apart, and
I bet you still had to change some things though that were connected. A
couple of small things, but it was amazing to me because I didn't think of it that way when I was writing it.
Wow.
But it just worked that way when I separated and I read it. I was like, man, this just reads like its own novel.
That's so cool.
I made a sequel. Yeah.
Nice.
Well, thank you guys. And I feel like to keep you any longer would be a disservice to the three of you who have probably stayed long beyond any time you owed me. I'm hardly professional, and especially tonight in any case with my situation. But I appreciate you coming on and talking about this. I promise I've read something from each of you. I'm just not in my best spirits right now. But I really appreciate it.
I understand that.
I know you do, and I hope that you guys can come back when I can do a better, a better tribute to the three of your separate works.
Absolutely, anytime.
We're happy to come back on anytime.
Yeah, please. And before you guys go, real quick, are there any works coming from Death's Head Press in the next couple of months that you guys want to plug that people should pre-order on Amazon, like a new splatter western I think I saw coming out?
Yeah, we got a new splatter western. It's called They Built a Gallows for You and Me by Cody Higgins. We got With Teeth by Brian Keene that's coming out. We got a collection by Chris Miller there. We got more by Wiley Young. We got Joe Lansdale coming. We got a lot of shit.
Yeah, it's gonna be good.
Let's look at those covers.
This releases.
I've actually got an anthology I'm coming out in next month. June 11th with Joe Lansdale and Max Allen Collins. It's a crime anthology about hitmen called Dead End Jobs, a hitman anthology. And it's got probably one of my best short stories ever in it, I think. I'm really proud of that one.
He's been jerking off about his name on the cover with Joe Lansdale.
I managed third billing, and I'm happy with that.
I can understand that. Yeah. Man, Lansdale has inspired some of the most, like, I don't know, what do you call it? Low-key weird, like mainstream low-key weird. I don't know how else to describe it, but it's Lansdale. You know it's Lansdale when you see it.
He's his own genre, and he lives not far from me, so all the time when I'm reading his stuff, I see Gilmer, Texas. Well, that's 20 miles from me. I see Tyler, Texas. That's less than an hour from me, and I know all these places he's talking about. The Sabine River. I've floated down the Sabine River, or kayaked rather, and so it adds an extra layer of cool just because I know these places in real life.
Mm-hmm. I can't find a listing for the Hitman anthology yet. Send me a link.
There's no pre-order yet.
Send me a link when there is, and I will be glad to share that. And
will do.
So, what was the name of the Brian Keene one for horror? Death Said Press. Before we get out.
Yeah, it's called With Teeth, and you can find it on Amazon.
Oh, that's the vampire one, right?
Yeah. Or it's on deathsaidpress.com. So
awesome. Yeah, man, he's never really taken a real stab at vampire fiction yet. I don't think.
Yeah,
like
this
really,
one's completely different. It's not like a vampire novel, like anything you've read before. So
really,
yeah, it's pretty damn awesome.
That's okay, cool. I'll get it up on the screen before the show's over. There it is. Okay, I'll get it up on the screen soon. I appreciate you guys really, and if I'm sure I can do better justice by you next time you come on. If you come on again,
I'm happy to come on anytime.
Anytime.
Yeah, thanks for coming.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Good night.
Yeah, you guys.
Right. There it is, With Teeth by Brian Keene, and it does
That's a fantastic cover.
It does.
It is
look
a wicked cover.
It looks like something he hasn't been up to writing in the last few volumes. I don't know. I mean, I remember that one with the zombies in the apartment complex. It wasn't quite that Keene feeling.
I loved that one. That's my favorite Keene book.
The Complex?
The Complex. That's my favorite.
You liked it?
Book.
I don't know. It felt like something was missing.
Action of it. Yeah.
I don't know. It felt like something was missing. They were too like shaggy, patrol or whatever. But I don't. That looks because the dope aspect, I guess. But that one does definitely looks like a return to form. So yeah, you guys are doing good things.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I think it's going to be great. It's going to turn some heads.
Yeah.
DeathSaidPress.com.
Yep.
Very
Check
simple.
it out.
Simple as that. We've been talking about him since the beginning. So thank you guys. Thank you.
Yeah.
To each head of Cerberus on its way out of the underworld, gone above to proliferate in the public, space, and best of luck to them for that.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Good night, guys.
I don't believe it. We saved that after all, or you guys did.
Yeah, that was a really fun interview. I'm